We have some breaking news, and it's fantastic breaking news. Ed Markey he's handily defeated Joe Kennedy III for the Democratic Party Senate nomination in Massachusetts. It was looking close when the votes were first coming in, but when the votes started coming in from Markey's part of the state, he pulled away, and it was a quick call, a foundational victory for Ed Markey over Joe Kennedy. And Joe Kennedy is now known as a history maker among his own family as the first Kennedy to lose a significant race in the state of Massachusetts. You love to see it. This is great for so many reasons. One, Joe Kennedy is the epitome of entitled politics. Because of his name and because of nothing he's actually done on his own merits, he thinks he deserves, he just is ordained by God or whatever to be in the Senate. And the people of his own state easily rebuked him from that. And you love to see that. But you also love to see a progressive champion of the Green New Deal and of other causes defend their spot against somebody that was getting a ton of money and national attention from a lot of neoliberal media, crowning him as the next generation of progressive leaders, whether it was Beto O'Rourke or Nancy Pelosi or what have you, basically saying this guy's the future, Ed Markey is the past. The people of that state rejecting that notion and saying policy matters, authenticity matters. That it's not enough to just say Ed Markey is older, he's 74, Joe Kennedy is a younger man, ergo he's young, he's progressive, he speaks to the youth, he speaks for the youth. Young people were one of the strongest bases of support for votes and volunteering for Ed Markey, because much like we saw with Bernie Sanders, young people want somebody that believes in what they believe, and it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody their own age or slightly older. Sure, they love young progressive champions like AOC, but they also love 74-year-old Ed Markey and 78-year-old Bernie Sanders. They love these people. They love them. And I think what this has shown is yet again that you can't just equate age with youth appeal. That young people will come out in droves for politicians they like when they speak to the policies they support, like the Green New Deal. Ed Markey supports a bunch of progressive policies, but he was, with AOC, the co-sponsor to that historic, environmental and labor legislation known as the Green New Deal. This is also a huge defeat, and you love to see this too, for people like Pelosi and Beto O'Rourke and the party establishment. Pelosi's having an awful day. First, she basically gets busted using a hair salon when no one else can, and now she looks like a huge, massive hypocrite, and it looks like she's undermining the efforts to shut down businesses to keep everyone safe. And then on the other hand, somebody she endorsed looking like a hypocrite doing it, basically calling out progressives when they primary neoliberals, but she supports a neoliberal primarying a progressive. And her guy lost, and he lost big. And while it's hard to say exactly if Pelosi hurt him in the polls, I think she did, but it's hard to quantify. On the day she endorsed Joe Kennedy over Ed Markey raised more money that day. He raised more money out of spite, people donating to him additionally in extra for the first time ever to say, no, we reject Nancy Pelosi's endorsement. It's worse than nothing. It's a negative. We believe in a different vision for the party than Pelosi, than Beto O'Rourke, than Joe Biden, than Joe Kennedy. We believe in something different and better. This was fantastic to see. It was really good. And you might think, why are we so excited? Unlike with AOC, unlike with Jamal Bowman, unlike with a lot of these types, this is a longtime senator that was facing a challenge. At best, we just broke even, and it's not looking that good for Alex Morse versus Neal. So it's not like this is a fully good news night. But I think that given how the media was covering this, given how the polling was going, given the narrative about Kennedy being crowned as this young up-and-comer, about how he was, for some goddarn reason, the underdog, a man who has Kennedy the Third in his name was the was the underdog guy from the regular people. It just blew my mind. And Ed Markey was able to turn this around so quickly. It was very inspiring. And young people played such a role. And key endorsements from young politicians like AOC played such a role. I know this was playing defense tonight, but this was a big win for progressives. And it showed that you rally around someone that's there for you, even if Ed Markey isn't perfect, and good things can happen. A Kennedy lost tonight, and it's a good thing when political dynasties take a tumble.